coming here. I just want to thank Nama, the board, whoever was involved in inviting me here. I'm truly honored. Coming back here and seeing so many old faces, it's really touched my heart. So it's really good to be back. And great things are happening. You've heard, I'm sure this week, that by everyone that Ayurveda is finally arrived. Am I the first person to tell you that? I have a hunch that maybe not. But I'm going to prove it to you. Hopefully. That's sort of my goal, is to prove that what we've been doing all these years is actually working. In fact, what I think is really amazing is what Ayurveda has done thousands of years ago is actually pointing in the direction for the modern researchers to actually discover Ayurveda. We are really literally going back to the future in the absolute true sense of the word. Scientists, they study nature, except they have no rhyme or reason or logic to figure out what they should be studying. Where Ayurveda just sits and waits patiently, thousands of years, for modern science to begin to discover and prove the truths of Ayurveda. And in fact, the most powerful parts of Ayurveda are the most subtle parts of Ayurveda, and they are now being proven by modern science that the most subtle aspects of nature are the most powerful. And that's sort of what I want to talk to you about tonight, is prove this ancient wisdom with modern science. I started this whole thing, in 1986. I went to India for a 3-week vacation to try to figure out a way to learn Ayurveda, study Ayurveda. I got invited to stay. I closed my practice over a very scratchy phone in New Delhi. My partner couldn't even hear me. I came home a year and a half later, completely left my life, came back, and somebody I didn't even know was driving my car. All my stuff was in like 5 different places. And I just stayed the course and had this incredible opportunity to learn Ayurveda and stay there and study, and I did. And I was truly passionate about Ayurveda back then, for sure. But I got to tell you, the kind of passion I have now, 30 years, something like that later, I can't even tell, hundreds of times more. What truly is happening right now in modern science is so exciting. Everything is being flipped upside down. Cholesterol was like what? Like for 60 years, we were told that cholesterol was bad for us. School lunches changed. Manufacturers said you can't make anything with cholesterol. Everything was cholesterol-free. Any day now, this week, next week, the FDA is going to put out their final report taking cholesterol off the nutrient concern list, which means that cholesterol is going to go back on the school lunches. Manufacturers are going to change how they grow and make their foods again. Everything is going to change. And we hope that they get it right? Because they screwed up the first time. Really, really, really bad. They screwed up. They took all the saturated fats out of our diet. And what happened when they took saturated fats out of our diet? What do we crave? Sugar. And Reagan in 1980 decided to subsidize, in a really good idea to help poverty and people who to help feed the poor. They subsidized the growth of wheat and corn for pennies on the dollar. So America had fat taken out of their diet. They're starving, right? And we gave them wheat and corn for pennies on the dollar. And we got fed nothing but sugar. And now we have an epidemic of blood sugar issues. And what goes up must come crashing down, the sugar, right? And it leaves people exhausted, depressed, anxious. When the body's under this much stress, what happens? The body says, this is insane, store fat, crave sugar. We have a culture that's overweight, can't stabilize your mood, can't sleep through the night. This is what's happened. And Ayurveda is all along just sitting there patiently, waiting for some science to come up and say, oh, cholesterol was probably good. You probably shouldn't have gotten rid of the butter. Butter's back. We have all this stuff happening, right? Ghee is back. How cool is that? Good ghee, right? The cool thing about Ayurveda is that it has thousands of years behind it. And when you take something that's been proven, time-tested for thousands of years, and you have science behind it, that is something that any logical mind, you would think, would say, well, that's pretty cool. Because research alone isn't good enough, right? We know that. You can find studies that say cholesterol is good, cholesterol is bad. You can find studies that wheat's good, wheat's bad, dairy's good, dairy's bad, soy is good. Oh my God, soy, right? I mean, in India, they give this soy to the cows, right? Now we have it, and everything we eat is soy. But science alone, it just depends on who funds it and who's doing it and what questions you ask. It isn't enough, is it? So what is the most logical thing is to take the thousands of years of a times-tested science and principles and then prove it with modern science. That you can take to the bank. And I believe that's what's happening. The only problem with this is that the Western scientists don't know that they're actually studying Ayurveda. They don't know that, but they are. That's the crazy thing. And our responsibility is to tell them, hello, that's an Ayurvedic thing that you're studying. Circadian medicine, new science that was written up recently in the Scientific America magazine. It said that these scientists are saying the new revolutionary medicine that will revolutionize medicine as we see it is called circadian medicine, which is the medicine that regulates the light and dark cycles. I'm going, really? This is the new thing. This is the best you got. Like we learned that, the first week of Ayurvedic school. That there's cycles, and there's clocks, and there's clocks in almost every cell of your body. Wow, we knew that, right? But they didn't know we knew that. So we got to figure out how to let them know what we know, because they are studying what we know. And they're now proving this ancient wisdom and taking credit for it. Not that the credit matters, but the point is that, as we'll see as I talk tonight, what we practice, and the most subtle aspects of what we practice, are being well documented. And it's time we stand strong and let people know that Ayurveda is a real, true science. I like to think of Ayurveda as the science of life, right? How to live in life in harmony with the natural cycles and go downstream, circadian clocks, rhythms, all of that. I also like my favorite, my second favorite description of Ayurveda is the truth of your life. Ayur means life, Veda means truth. It means the truth of your life. It's a system of medicine designed to take the body, make it less physically dense, so you become more clear mentally and emotionally, more aware. And with that awareness, you can make transformational change in your life and free yourself from old underlying mental, emotional patterns of behavior that you created as a young child to make you navigate a safe environment as a child. And you've been projecting those patterns of behavior on the screen your whole entire life. And you're still projecting those on the screen today as an adult. And 95%, and according to a new study, 95% of what we think, believe, say, desire, talk, think is subconscious, which means that it comes from patterns of behavior you created before you were 6 years old. 95%. Only 5% of what we're doing right now is actually stuff that we think we're in control of. So even a better definition of Ayurveda than the truth of your life, which is a really good one I like, because it's the truth of your life, and that's what it's about, right? Letting the truth out is the game of life. Of course, the Mahabharata was a big battle. I'm not a big battle guy, although the more I study microbes, the more I see that they actually do fight. So maybe battles are okay. But I'm not quite there yet, personally. But the reality is that the game of life is that we can play this game of life, which I call Ayurveda, and the one with the most awareness wins. Y'all want to play? So how it works is that the most primitive cell on this planet survived because of its ability to be aware. That's all it had was awareness. In Ayurveda, it is all about us being aware, self-aware, and also aware of our environment. These you could call circadian rhythms. We are moving from a Newtonian structure of life where everything's based on matter and fixing parts, right? You break a part, you can replace a heart, a liver, you can replace stuff, fix stuff, heal stuff. That's how we structure, modern medicine is structured. That's how we treat the body, is by looking at the parts. We also now know that there's quantum mechanics, which says that everything's energy. Don't get too excited, because that has not even come close to being infiltrated into into Western medicine. Not even close. No, but they're not letting, even though physics is just off the charts proving that everything's energy, there's a lot of resistance to letting that energy medicine become a part of Western medicine. But the science is there. The microbiome, right? How cool is that? We're going to talk a little bit about that. That now we understand that 90% of your cells are actually bugs, right? And that these bugs are affected by what you think, by what you say, by what you feel. What you see, you become is now proven by Western medicine. We know that to be a fact. The genome, the human genome, that was a good thing, right? When they figured that one out. And they thought everything's fixed. We got it all figured out. All we now need to do now is just figure out if you have a genetic predisposition for this disease and you have that gene, you're screwed. And if you have a good genes from your parents, you can live to be 100 and you're in good shape.